So welcome everybody. This is the Microsoft 365 and Power Platform weekly community call with Microsoft speakers. So within this call, we always have people from Microsoft sharing the latest and greatest on their features or capabilities which they are driving. For example, we have feature PMs, we have cloud advocates, we have engineers sharing the latest and greatest what they've been built. My name is Vesa Juvonen. I'm a principal. Titles are so hard. My name is Vesa Juvonen. I'm a principal product manager in Microsoft, working on the community areas across the Microsoft 365 and other areas as well, in the partnership with Power Platform. Now today we do have a really cool setup of demos and topics. So we're going to start with a quick recap on the latest updates and news on the Microsoft 365 Power Platform side. We're going to be pretty quick on this one. We do have some new content what we're sharing as well. So because we want to acknowledge some of the contributors which have happened within the past. We'll come back on that one in a second. We'll cover the latest news across Microsoft blogs, and then we do a group picture with a together mode picture in Teams, and then we go to the actual stars of the day. And then I just realized that Yogesh's picture is not on the slide, but Marc and Yogesh is going to talk about adding SharePoint Embedded Copilot to your app. So what does that mean? How does it actually work? SharePoint Embedded has this native Copilot capability, which is really cool option. So we're going to see that one in practice. Then we transition to Bob. Bob is actually retired, which is interesting. So is Bob in the call? Well, before Bob left last week, he actually did record some of the demos he wanted to still do, and Paolo is going to help on setting up on all of that, and we're going to share the audio. And so from retirement, Bob is back to share his updated few more demos within upcoming calls as well. Really cool setup. Well-deserved retirement for Bob. He's been working on these areas for a long time. And then we have Nate and Alexander talking about the latest on SharePoint automation using lightweight approvals and quick steps. So that's on the last demo of today. Really cool. Now, I'm going to be intentionally pretty quick on this stuff. So we do have our YouTube channel, LinkedIn, open source sample galleries, and open source, a lot of material available. Please do check out AKMS Community Home or community.ms as a quick URL pointing to the same location where you can find all of the different things. The one thing which is always getting asked in this call, where can I get access on the recordings from that YouTube channel? So within 24 hours, all of the community calls are getting recorded and published within that channel. So please subscribe at the AKMS Community YouTube, and you will get notified whenever there's a new video available. Now, we do have quite a few community calls. This is the Tuesday 8 a.m. Pacific time call, which is happening every single Tuesday. And we're going to focus on Microsoft 365 Power Platform, Copilot Studio, Microsoft 365 Copilot Studio, and many other things as well. And again, with Microsoft speakers. On top of that, we have the Power Platform monthly community call with community presenters, Office Audience monthly community call with Microsoft presenters, and then our 7 a.m. Thursday series, which is either Microsoft 365 Power Platform community call or Vivo Connection SharePoint Framework community call. So every single Thursday, 7 a.m. that call happens, even though it would be a holiday season. So even on Thanksgiving, that call is actually happening because, hey, we are a global world, and for example, Thanksgiving is only celebrated within the US. You can download recurrent invites at AKMS Community Calls, and you can use our meetup service to stay up to date on the agenda. Really cool setup as well. For a lot of those community calls, we do welcome community presenters. So if you're interested in showing what you built or what you've shown or learned around any of the products, it doesn't have to be a custom solution. It might be something what you learned to use in Copilot Studio or Power Apps or SharePoint Framework. Just fill in the form, and we will get you scheduled on the right community call based on the content and based on what you're planning to present. We will also help you to get prepared on those calls. So it's not that you need to be a super optimized and polished presenter doing this for decades and decades. No. This is for everybody. Everybody is welcome to share their learnings on the Microsoft 365 and Power Platform. So please sign up using that form. Now, we do have a lot of assets available getting started on Microsoft Cloud, so at learn.microsoft.com, and not only on Microsoft 365 and Power Platform, those are the called out locations there, but there's so much material depending on what you're looking into doing and what you're looking into learning. So please take advantage of the learn.microsoft.com, and everything is free, which is really cool. So you don't have to pay for any of those learning modules, and they really have a nice tracking also on how you are progressing within those modules as well. We kind of quickly touched our samples, AKMS community samples, a great occasion to find relevant samples for you or inspiration. So you might be looking into, I need to implement this kind of a solution and it has this kind of UXs. Maybe somebody has done something similar at some point. Let me check. That's when you go to this URL and AKMS community samples. You write in what are you planning to do in text box, and all of a sudden you have samples available which are showing you how to get started. So inspiration samples, getting you unblocked based on what are you actually building. So you're aggregating samples from multiple GitHub repos, organizations from Microsoft and SharePoint from community to this one centralized location. When you find a sample, you might be then wondering on how do I then get started with the sample, or maybe you want to contribute your sample back. And that's why we have our Sharing is Caring initiative. And directly from LA Studios, here's Dave Warner.
Here's David. Yes, thank you, Vesa. Absolutely, friends, we're going to be fast today. Sharing is Caring is a program that provides hands-on guidance. What does that mean? It means that we are going to join live Teams calls together and do some hands-on cool collaboration. So things like Vesa mentioned, using a sample, contributing to a sample, navigating that hub of Gits, that Git of hubs, that labyrinth that is GitHub. We will take care of it for you, and we'll work together. It's hands-on, and by the way, it counts as a contribution, and it is a safe space, which means we don't record it at all, so you're free to ask any and all questions that you want. So be on the lookout. Today is April 1st. We're not fooling anybody. Nope, we are going to get those sessions scheduled here soon. Todd and Stephanie are helping out, and we are excited for the next round of that. Why are we excited? Well, because we also want to recognize you for the amazing work that you're doing, and that is where our recognition program comes in. So some of those wonderful and exciting badges like Prompt Pro and Snippet Sorcerers have been around, and the events that just wrapped up like the Powerful Devs and SharePoint Hackathon. Congratulations to all those winners. Those are coming out. Repo Rescuers going out today, Modern Search. Today begins the Star Wars campaign, so you can earn any one of these badges or all three by contributing 1, 3, or 5 over the next 3 months. They are exciting. They're real. They show you that you are making a difference in the community and you are contributing. So while they're also fun, they are accredited and show that you are making that difference. So we just need you to opt in, ak.ms/community/recognition, and we will track all the amazing work. Be on the lookout for them, everybody. Thank you. Vesa, back to you.
No. Actually, no, because we do have a shared slide, or we didn't agree who's going to actually talk about this one. So as part of the recognition program, as part of the contributions within the past month, we are introducing back our previously, many moons ago, we were actually listing always the contributors from the past month. So we're introducing that back. So what we want to do is basically call out all of the people who have contributed in our different repos and programs and tooling and all of that stuff as part of the monthly summary. And this is the collected list of people who've been actively involved within March 2025. And by the way, as you noticed, this is from A to K. Something is missing. What is missing, David? What's missing?
The next slide.
The next
we have 3 full slides of contributors this month. Holy cow. So we're going to share these on the socials, everybody. We have so many contributors. Thank you. We expect this to grow. Very excited and appreciate all that you're doing. And thank you so much. This is March. Take a snippet, check out the screenshot summaries, watch the video, share it on the socials, let people know that you're making a difference and you're included here, because we are excited to see your names on this list and we're excited to bring this back.
Absolutely. And maybe we should be doing a blog post where we're listing this, focusing only on contributors, but we'll come back on that one. We're introducing back on the classic models, which we used to have within the program as well. Really cool. Thank you, David, on that one. Now, quick recap on all of the different events which are happening all around the world. So for next big event will be on May 6th to 8th at Las Vegas. This is the Microsoft 365 Community Conference. I'll be there. David will be there. Hugo will be there. A lot of people from this call will be there to talk about the latest and greatest on AI and Copilot and Microsoft Teams and SharePoint and many Power Platform as well included in here. So please do check out M365 Conf after detail around what's being covered there. Then following up on that one, we have Build coming up on May 19th to 22nd. That is in Seattle and also online. So you don't have to fly over to Seattle. You can actually subscribe for most of the sessions also in online for free, which is really cool. Then followed up on Build next week on that one, we have the ECS that's happening in Düsseldorf from 26th to 28th of May. And it is the leading and largest Microsoft 365 event in Europe. So more than 3,000 attendees, 75 sponsors and so on. It is actually a combination of 3 different conferences. So European Collaboration Summit, European AI and Cloud Summit, and European BizApp Summit 2025. So really cool. On Other side of the pond, Seattle, Atlanta, and Dallas, TechCon 365 starting to happen again on June 23rd forward, then following up on Atlanta in August and Dallas in November. Great opportunities on catching up with the community as well. We also have the Power Platform Community Conference happening in Las Vegas. So the M365 happening in spring, and then the Power Platform Community Conference in autumn. Really, really great opportunities for staying up to date on what's happening within the Power Platform, including Copilot Studio and all of the AI-related capabilities on that side as well. So that's in October 28th to 13th. Right after that one, we have the Microsoft Ignite happening actually in San Francisco. So more details on this one coming out soon at ignite.microsoft.com, but that's happening on the week of November 17th at San Francisco, California. Really, really cool. And then the last big event of the year will be the European SharePoint Conference, so European M365 Azure SharePoint Conference. It's a combination of a lot of things. www.sharepointeurope.com, and you can see all of the details on that one already. I think we announced already a few of the keynotes on that one, so really, really cool opportunity at Dublin in the 1st of December. On top of these, there's a lot of smaller events happening all around the world, different cities, different even villages maybe in certain cases, but please do check out at communitydays.org. Some of these events are online, some of them are hybrid, some of them are in person. Great opportunities of engaging with the other people in the community as well across the world. So it's really, really cool opportunities there. Quick recap on last week's news. Not a massive amount of news, but a decent amount of updates, especially on the Copilot Studio side and Copilot side of the house. Thank you, David, for sharing that in the link list in the list. And also, of course, SharePoint Hackathon winners were announced as well last week. I think we're missing a one, which is actually the Powerful Devs announcement was also last week. And so that is missed on the slide. We'll add it on the notes of the video as well. Now, before we go to the Together Mode picture, we also wanted to recap on the prompt, the Copilot prompt. So we do have a really cool initiative on collecting different prompts to a centralized location where you can actually find an inspiration how to adjust the Copilot behavior based on your interest. And this week's the prompt of the week is actually coming from Valores Narbutas, and this is really cool competitor analysis report request. And there's a prompt example there. I'm not going to read that all the way, but kudos for Valores on actually getting the prompt of the week announcement this week. Cool. Then it is actually time to go to the Together Mode picture. So let's see if we can actually see how does this work today. There has been some hiccups on this one every now and then, but let's see if we can actually make this work. Together Mode picture activated. And moving everybody in here. There we go. Together Mode picture is activated. I do want to change the scene. So let's put everything in green. Green is away. Oh, let's go to the auditorium. Look at Pixel perfect. Guido in the central, right above me. So a lot of familiar faces there. Mark on the left top corner, left right corner. Top corner. Anyway, let's wait a few more seconds. We do have 50 seats in the room. Oh, Paolo went to the right corner or left corner, depending on which direction you're watching. So, but let's see how that works as well. Yogesh is in the front. Steve is in the front as well. Familiar faces. Nate there. Good confirmation that all of our speakers are in the house as well. Few more seconds before we start recording. Maybe we will have to do that. And 3, 2, 1. Let's do some hand waving, everybody. Thank you for being part of the community. Awesome to have you in a call. We'll grab a GIF animation out of this and share that in the social media. Thank you for everybody for being here. Awesome to have you as part of our community. Thanks, everybody. Cheers. Excellent. That works really well. Worked really well this time. So that's really cool. I think it's getting better and better. So that's good. Let me actually get that one back there. Stop the recording. And then it is time to go to the actual demos of today. So, and right on schedule, which is really cool. So we'll start with Marc and Yogesh, and then we move to Bob's recording. Paolo is going to help on that one. And then Nate and Alexander will be the last ones of today. But Marc and Yogesh, I think you should be good to go.
Awesome.
Maybe.
Thanks.
Excellent.
Thanks, Vesa. Amazing community, amazing energy. So grateful to be here and sharing our vision on SharePoint Embedded and Copilot. Marc, will you be driving the deck? Do you want me to?
Yeah, I'll drive it.
No awesome.
Cool. Share. There we go.
And sure. Yep, screen sharing is visible. All good, and audio is good. Take it away.
Okay.
All right. Awesome. So I'll give a quick intro. I'll let Mark also give one. So I'm a principal PM within the OneDrive and SharePoint team, and I've been working with Mark to deliver copilots within your applications on SharePoint Embedded. So Mark, do you want to give a quick intro? Did I skip that?
Yeah, I think yeah, that's okay. We can skip it. I think folks have seen me on the call. If not, I'm Marc Windle, also a product manager, working on SharePoint Embedded.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. So many of you probably already know what SharePoint Embedded is, but I'll refresh. SharePoint Embedded is a SharePoint platform that lets you embed Microsoft 365 features in your applications. So using Graph APIs, you have access to the core Microsoft 365 capabilities, including the security and compliance, and the entire business continuity that you get typically with the Microsoft tenancy. But most importantly, it is Copilot ready. So you can easily bring Copilot experiences within your applications, whether it's line of business or an ISV scenario, with just a few lines of code. And that's exactly what Mark is going to show here shortly. So if we go to the next slide, essentially, SharePoint Embedded is a container, is a set of containers, a partition within the Microsoft 365 storage platform, just like SharePoint and OneDrive. So you basically own a real estate within the tenant for your applications. And the only way to access the content within these containers is through Graph API. The power of this structure or architecture is only your application can contain and control the content and access. Unlike, say, SharePoint, where you often worry about oversharing and you never know where it is getting access, which is awesome when it is for that particular scenario. But with an application-based scenario, you want a full control, and SharePoint Embedded gives you just that. So if we go to the next one, Mark, SharePoint Embedded has become the default knowledge platform, if you will, for all the applications being built on Microsoft 365. So some of the applications on the top left are already live: Loop, Designer, Edge Workspace. You're probably familiar with those. Some of the other upcoming applications, are also here. And the agentic flows like declarative agents are also getting built on the SharePoint Embedded platform. So why these applications are choosing? So let's take a scenario. And in this case, Mark, if you go to the next one, let's take Contoso's audit agent as an application. We believe all applications will be AI applications. They will be agentic, right? So I want to take an agentic example here. So Contoso has an auditing application that helps auditing professionals serve their clients. And as they evolve into the age of AI, this agent is also evolving into an agent. At the essence of every AI agent is the knowledge, especially in the case of enterprise agents. In case of our audit agent, you have financial records, tax records, previous auditing information, and industry guidelines. This knowledge really powers and makes the auditing agent powerful, right? If we go to the next slide. So what we see here is agents require an AI-ready knowledge, right? If you think about the three data categories, the unstructured data, the structured data, often represented as transactions and records in your SQL database. Then within unstructured, you have this passive data like logs and images, but then you have this unstructured collaborative content, which is getting continuously updated and refreshed. You need a new system to enable AI on this collaborative unstructured content. And some of the key capabilities that these AI applications or agents require include an ability to natively RAG. And what I mean by that is the ability to use this data natively and contextualize to your agent instead of taking that data out and then putting somewhere else. Second, it's the security and compliance part of it, right? So this auditing agent obviously needs to follow all the compliance posture, but also need to be permission aware. So if I am a global auditor, I should have access to multiple clients. But if I am assigned to a particular client and I have signed my contract accordingly, I should only get AI responses for that particular client's knowledge base. So that permission awareness is a very critical aspect of an AI-ready knowledge platform. And last but not least, we talked about it, it needs to be application scoped, right? And this is where we believe that SharePoint Embedded checks all the boxes, right? It is natively integrated within the Microsoft 365 storage platform. And what that means is the data here is naturally semantically indexed. So you don't have to kind of create your own rack pipeline there. And obviously being part of the Microsoft 365 tenancy, it is secured and compliant. And through Graph APIs, you get all the permission awareness as you kind of integrate this into information and knowledge into your application. So if you go to the next one, let's take an example of how we actually build this capability using SharePoint Embedded. And that's, I think, the crux of today's call. Now that we have a context here. With SharePoint Embedded, you can enable a copilot-like experience, a declarative agent-like experience within your application. So let's take Contoso's audit web application. So with just a few lines of code, you can drop a control within this application. But the beauty of this is you can dynamically control the context of the agent responses. And what that means is maybe you are on a particular client case and the agent responses will be zoomed in on just that particular client. Or you may have a really large auditing file and you want to only work on that particular file because it has lots of intricate details and insights that you want to reason with. And SharePoint Embedded Agent can let you do that. Last but not least, it changes based on the application context. So if you are on a different year of the auditing, or if you're in a different customer, it changes and you get the ability to change the data sources dynamically based on where you are in the application. And last but not least, the responses that the Copilot agent or the control gives you is grounded on the particular knowledge in that application. So that means that you can also cite the references, because when it comes to AI, the trust is critical and the end user needs to know how this particular response was generated. So the reference to the specific files is critical, and with this agent control, you get that ability. And finally, you get to customize it, with custom instruction, make this agent your own agent within your application, whether it's the text, whether it's the titles, the style of the agent, and the look and feel. And Mark, take it away and show how to make it work.
Cool. Thanks, Yogesh. Yeah. So I'm going to turn my camera off just because it makes it easier for the bandwidth here. But the short story here is that, we've talked a lot about SharePoint Embedded before. At a high level, it's a place for you to store files for your custom application. But it's not just a place to put files. It's super powered in a whole bunch of ways that Yogesh mentioned. And one of those is that it is ready for AI. So it integrates automatically with M365 Copilot orchestration, and the content you put into SharePoint Embedded is semantically indexed automatically for it. You don't have to do anything for it. So continuing kind of that use case that Yogesh set up, you are a helpful assistant that auditors use to find and summarize information related to auditing cases. I want to go kind of now like build this or just show you what this looks like to add it to your custom application. So say you have developed this custom auditing application that is built on SharePoint Embedded. Let's go take a look at what a demo looks like where we can add this custom Copilot experience to this application. I'm going to open up Visual Studio Code just quickly, just to get a sense of how you can do this and how it works. And so we're looking at some of the code for my existing React-based application. And I'll go show you what that looks like in a second. We can kind of play with it. But the key thing here is that in order to add this, super powerful, customizable Copilot agent into your app, all you have to do really is drop in a few lines of code. So this existing widget that's available, this chat embedded widget, you can reference that in your code. And then this is what it looks like to put it into your React-based app. So pretty straightforward to do it. Now, going into some of the customizations, I've done some customization, so it kind of First of all, I was, wanted to give it a title, so I can call it the Contoso Audit Assistant. This theme here is really just how you can control the look and feel, so it can kind of, seamlessly blend in with your application. And then this is where we get into the kind of powerful customization capabilities. So zero query prompts, you might know them as starter prompts or conversation starters and other places. This is where you can kind of give the user like using your app, an ability to kind of click on some of the options, just let them know what this chat agent can do. And then the instruction, also known as the meta prompt or the system prompt in other places. In this case, I'm letting it know that it's a helpful assistant that auditors use to find and summarize information, and so on. So yeah, this is how you can kind of customize this custom agent in your application. The key thing to note, Yogesh touched on it, is that you have the ability to do this dynamically. So depending on where they're in my app, what page they're on, I could be looking at a whole bunch of different auditing cases or one particular auditing case or even one particular document. I can scope some of the instructions and the data sources here. You can see. I can also give it just a different instruction depending on what type of user is using it. So if I have maybe an administrator coming or a client or an auditor, I can change how this system behaves at runtime, and it becomes a super powerful tool. So let's go take a look at what this is and how it operates. So right here, I'm in the Contoso Audit web application. I'm looking at a particular case. Here we're doing the audit for Fabricam over the 2024. And you can see I've got some documents in here. So I've got Fabricam's expenses for the past several years. And so I can look at these zero query prompts. I can say make a table of marketing expenses over the past 5 years and issue that query into my custom agent in here. And it's going to reason over that over a couple seconds. And, hopefully it should come back with that table. Now, what's interesting here is that it is doing retrieval augmented generation, or just effectively using the knowledge that is in this particular audit case. And under the hood, this audit case is a SharePoint embedded file storage container. And so it's actually automatically, without any configuration, all I've done is drop this control in here. It's able to, do this and really reference. You can see I've got these citations in here of Fabricam's expenses over the past several years. And you can see the references at the bottom. I can open one of these up and you can see last year's expenses is going to open up in the Office Online client. And you can see it's more than just, marketing expenses. It's a little contrived, but I have the data in here, rent and utilities, taxes, and so on. And it's able to, reason over that, extract out the marketing expenses specifically. And now I can, ask questions and get information and summarize stuff. Now, it's one thing because, we're looking at these documents. We can have a whole bunch of content in here in deeply nested folder structures and things like that. And it's very powerful to be able to actually do that retrieval augmented generation using Copilot orchestration automatically just by dropping in this control. Really powerful. I didn't need to go build custom orchestration or all of the responsible AI. This is also secured and compliant. So the data is stored within my tenant and it's security aware. So it knows that I have access to these files. Like, it's really powerful stuff. There's a whole bunch of stuff that just kind of comes out of the platform that I didn't need to go build myself. And I put a couple other fun, what is SharePoint Embedded Copilot Agent? So in here I put some of the documentation that we have available online, and I'll show you where you can get that, but it's able to do that. So it's able to obviously like retrieve the important information and answer questions and get all of that good stuff. And so you can see it's available as pay-as-you-go billing. So that's it for the demo. It's really easy to add this agent. You just drop in a control and you're able to reason over the content in your SharePoint embedded containers. I just wanted to show you what's next for the SharePoint embedded agent. Right now the preview is open. So for the SharePoint embedded agent, you can go to aka.ms/SPE agent. Right now, you can get started. It's available to anybody. Today, you need a Copilot license as an end user in order to access it. but we're moving to a consumption-based pricing very soon. And so you can go check it out, start playing with it. Just note that you'll need a Copilot license, but it's open to anybody. The preview's open, so go ahead and try that out. And that page above will tell you how to do that. And then, of course, Vesa was talking about all the conferences coming up. We're going to be there doing a session at the M365 Community Conference next month, and we have more to share. So be sure to attend that or watch the recording if possible. That's it for us. Thank you very much for your time today.
Excellent. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Yogesh. Really, really cool setup. And please do to give us feedback. Yogesh and Mark are super open for hearing what works, what doesn't work, how can we improve on the SharePoint Embedded side as well. So thank you for that one. Cool. Then we move into Bob's retirement recording. So how would we position this, Paula?
Yeah.
You're helping, Paula is helping with the setup, and Bob is doing the live demo on this one.
Precisely, yes. The demo was made by and recorded by Bob, my former colleague, until Friday last week, and now I'm just the facilitator, helping to share the knowledge with the whole community. So today the demo is about creating a declarative agent with an API plugin, and this demo is part of a series of labs that we have in the Copilot Developer Camp, which is a set of videos and hands-on labs that you can go through to learn how to extend Copilot, whether you are a maker or a professional developer. And here and in the chat, you can find the link to the Copilot Dev Camp. The Copilot Dev Camp gives you content about different scenarios, like if you want to be a maker and wear the hat of maker, you can learn how to extend Copilot using the Copilot Studio Builder or the Copilot Studio, or how to create SharePoint agents. And if you want to wear the hat of a developer, you might want to extend Copilot leveraging the foundational model and the orchestrator of Microsoft 365 Copilot, and as such, you want to go through the declarative agent path E, which stands for extend. Or if you want to rely on a fully custom foundational model and you want to have your own orchestrator, you will end up digging into the custom engine agent learning pathway, which is called B because it stands for build. Today we are in the E path, so we are going to extend Microsoft 365 Copilot. When you go through the Copilot Dev Camp, you can also claim a badge if you complete the pathways. So we have the 3 pathways, and whenever you will complete each of them, you will be able to claim a badge which mimics the judo belt right now. So it will be the blue belt for the make, extend, and build path. If you will be able to complete all of them, you will become a master and you will get a black belt. And if you will also share your knowledge with the community and with the sample in the community sample gallery, you will get a red belt for the sensei. And keep into account that this initiative will end on May the 20th, and it will target only the very first 200 community members who will earn badges. So that's it. If you want to dig more in the Copilot Dev Camp, there is also a video that I recorded something like 10 days ago or so. And if you go at this URL, you can learn all of the stuff that you can dig into while going through the Copilot Dev Camp. That said, let's talk about the capability to consume an external API from an agent in Copilot. And basically think about this scenario. An end user will send a prompt, will ask a question to Microsoft 365 Copilot. And by default, Copilot can rely on the semantic index for Copilot and on the content that you have on your own Microsoft 365 tenant. However, if you create a custom agent, like for example, a declarative agent, you can add an API plugin extension to your agent, and you can make it possible for the agent to consume an external API, a REST API, in a secure way, secured with Entra ID, so that you will be able on the REST API side to get access to the user identity, to the user who is interacting with Copilot in the front end of the solution. And you will be able to provide functionalities like querying data, or even updating data or executing actions using post or put REST requests for your API. This is a really powerful scenario, in my opinion, because you can add advanced functionalities to your agents and make Copilot for Microsoft 365 even richer and more complete from an end user point of view. So now let's move to the requirements that you have to satisfy in order to create such a solution and in order to consume an API plugin. You need, specifically for the demo we are going through, to have Node.js version 20. You need to have Visual Studio Code and the Teams Toolkit. The Azure Functions for VS Code, because the solution we are going to see is a solution that relies on an Azure function created in VS Code, and you will run the solution on your own environment if you will go through the same lab on your own machine, and also the Azure Storage Explorer, or at least the emulator. If you want to run it locally on your machine, you just need to use the emulator, and you don't need the real Azure Storage one. So that said, here is the demo. I will pass it to Bob, who recorded it, and please give me a feedback in case of any issue with the audio, but you should be able to listen also to the audio recorded by Bob. So enjoy the demo.
Well, thanks, and let's get started. I'm going to begin by skipping the install and jumping right into where we download the application. Now, this was created using Teams Toolkit, beginning with an agent, a declarative agent with an API. And it created the Azure functions, and then I added a lot more to the Azure functions, including this whole simulated consulting company scenario. So to save all that work, you're just going to download the working solution, or the beginning of the solution right here. And this is what it's going to look like. You'll go into the lab solution folder and copy that into your working location. And then let's open that up with Visual Studio Code. And we've already installed Teams Toolkit, Node.js. Of course, I trust the authors. And I just have to make a little adjustment to the environment files. Specifically, it needs the location of the storage connection string. And that's going to point to some local storage, just using the Azure 8 storage simulator. So now I'll do an npm install, which is just a one-time thing. And that will load the all the packages that we need. And then let's go ahead and make sure we're logged into Teams Toolkit. We are, so I will debug this. So everything else is ready to go in this solution. And I sped things up a little bit in the video, but we're going to come right into Copilot, and I'm not going to log in right now. I'm going to minimize that. And instead, I want to actually take a look at the API. So there's an HTTP file here, and I can click one of the requests and look for /me. And you'll see that for the moment, it thinks that I'm Avery Howard, which is a test user. We'll fix that in one of the future labs to be demonstrated on May 13th. And now let's take a look at Azurite. So I'm just going to bring up the Storage Explorer and show you that all that same information that the API returned is actually being stored inside of Azure Table Storage. So there are three tables: a consultant table, projects table, and an assignments table, which has the assignments between the consultants and their projects. And you can actually go in there and it will persist the data, and you can even update the data or put in your own sample data if you wish. So I'd like to take a moment and talk about some API design considerations. This is unofficial, but based on my experience in playing around with Copilot and building this and other samples. The first thing is to think about, do you need the whole API? Maybe you want to limit the surface area that you're going to allow AI to go ahead and do operations on. It also helps if you use intuitive names in the paths, parameters, and payloads. In a lot of APIs, it doesn't really matter because everything is coded. But in this case, an artificial intelligence is going to try to understand your API. So keep it intuitive if you can, and name things with logical names. Now, it's best if you start with use cases rather than just an arbitrary API. What is it that you want the user to be able to do using Copilot? and then allow each one of those use case intents to be satisfied with a single HTTP request. Currently, Copilot will not string together multiple requests, say, get an ID for something, and then issue a second request using that ID. You need for everything to be in one request, and this API will even take partial parameters. So if you ask for Avery's projects, for instance, it will find all the Averys. You don't have to go look up the Avery user ID and then go look up the projects. Finally, it's better not to expect Copilot to filter data. Instead, provide parameters that do the filtering server side. That's always a good idea anyway. To expose this in Copilot, we're going to have to put together an application package, which is a bunch of JSON files and a couple of icons, all zipped into a zip archive. The manifest tells Copilot that there's an application and gives basic information, and then the declarative agent, plugin, and open API definition files provide all the information about what the declarative agent is supposed to do and how to call the API. So let's have a look at that. I'm going to open up the app package folder, and we'll start with manifest.json. Every Teams application and Copilot agent has one of these files. And you can see here that there's a Copilot agents section that declares this declarative agent and points to the declarative agent.json file. So let's open that up and have a look. And in here we have a lot of details, including detailed instructions. And the lab instructions, if you do the hands-on lab, will lead you through creating all of this. I'm just avoiding, because I only have 10 minutes, all the copying and pasting that you would have to do. One thing to notice about the instructions is that it's giving the declarative agent an idea of what it's supposed to do. And it also has some special instructions. One you might want to notice is that it should always remind users of the Trey Research motto, which is always be billing. Next, we have the conversation starters, and these are the prompt suggestions that are displayed to the user when they start using the declarative agent. Next, we have capabilities, and there's one here, which is the capability of reaching into OneDrive and SharePoint and getting all the documentation about these projects. So the lab would have led you through creating that SharePoint site and uploading the documents and putting the URL into an environment variable so it can be inserted here. Finally, we have actions, and this is where we reference the API via the API plugin file. So let's have a look at that. The plugin file is specific to Copilot, and it includes functions, which are the various types of actions that Copilot can take using the API. At this point, it can get information about me, that is the current user, about other consultants, and it can bill a project on behalf of a consultant. And we'll add more to that in the next lab. The plugin file also includes additional information, including authentication information, which is specific to Microsoft 365. It also references an Open API definition file, or Swagger file. So let's look at that. Now, this is a standard Open API definition file that you may have seen in other applications, and they wanted to stick to the standard here. You'll see all of the different paths, all the different gets and responses, what the payloads look like, even the error condition. If we get back an error, what should we do? If we get a 404, that means that we couldn't find that particular consultant, for instance. And this API also supports a post in order to build data. Now let me run the application, and I'm going to show the log file down at the bottom so you can see what's going on. I'll just pick one of the standard prompts and look for consultants with TypeScript skills. And you'll see that we have a get for /API/consultants. And it has a query string parameter looking for TypeScript skills. And as you can see, it found 2 consultants. And it did remember to put the company motto, always be billing, in the response. So now let's try another request. This time I'm going to look for some information from the documentation in SharePoint. So I want details from the statement of work and the current status, which is going to come from the API. And it called the API, as you can see from the log file, and there's the information. The details are in the response, but we can also click on that and get to the Word document itself if we want to check that attribution. Finally, let's do a post request. So I'm going to bill my hours because that's what they want me to do, is bill my hours, right? So what we're going to see next is called a confirmation card. And that is kind of a rule whenever Copilot might update some data using a post. It always checks with the user. And I clicked confirm, so you can see down at the bottom that it actually did the post. So now my hours are billed and my boss is happy. And back to the rest of the show. Well, thanks, and let's get...
Wonderful. So thank you. Thank you, Bob, and I hope you enjoyed. Back to you, Vesa.
Excellent. Thank you, Paolo, for helping with that setup, and thank you, Bob. So I know that he is lurking behind the scenes anyway. So because that's Bob, he's trying to retire, and hopefully and well-deserved retirement for Bob. If you didn't catch up on why did we show the Bob as a recording, so he did retire on last Friday from Microsoft. So which is really, really cool. Really, really, really long career. Anyway, now we're going to then transition to Nate and Alexander. And if we go a bit long today, and you need to drop, by the way, for anybody who's listening and watching, so feel free to do so. Recording will be out in the YouTube channel pretty soon. But Nate is sharing the slides, and I can see the slides. How about audio, Nate?
Yep. Can you hear me?
Audio is really good. Take it away.
Awesome. Thank you, Vesa. Hello, everyone. My name is Nate Tennant. I am a product manager for our business apps and automation space. I also have Alexander Spitsyn with me here today, who's going to do the fun demo portion of our segment. And I will fly through the slides just so we can spend most of our time on the demo. But in SharePoint, we think of automation across a continuum of native capabilities, no-code solutions, all the way up to integrations with our friends in Power Platform. Today, we're going to talk a lot about kind of these first two buckets and how we're building things directly into SharePoint. There are lots of different scenarios you can think about for automation. These are just a few that might trigger some ideas for you. And then we know that organizations all have kind of shared practices across different orgs within the company. And so you might think of something like device management or morale budget. These are great ways to go and build lightweight solutions that can be reused across the company in templates. Now, in the lightweight automation space, we have kind of three main areas we're going to talk about today. Rules, which have been around SharePoint for a while, mostly are for sending email notifications. We'll talk about those and a few tweaks and updates that are coming there. Approvals, which have been around for about 2 years in a direct integration with Teams in the Approvals app. And lastly, a new concept called Quick Steps that we're excited to show and demo today. Rules, if we start with those, are typically used for email notification. You get a very simple dialog builder, lets you go in, choose your schema based on your SharePoint list or library, and then configure kind of the conditions. We are adding some new capabilities, like the ability for the new item trigger to be able to use conditions. Previously, only the modified trigger was able to do that. So you'll start to see some improvements around conditioning and rules that make them more useful, helpful to kind of tailor the content so you can tune those notifications to just what you need, as well as be on the lookout for some new date-based actions and some custom text that are coming as well. Approvals, as of this week, are available in any library. Like I said, they've been around the list space in a couple of templates for about 1.5 years. If you don't see this just quite yet, we're rolling out to kind of the full 100% of GA this week. So you should see it very, very soon if you don't already. But in the automate dropdown, any list or library, you get the simple toggle to go and configure approvals. That means you don't have to go and wire up a custom Power Automate flow. You can integrate kind of a manual approval process right within SharePoint and then get that nice notification in Teams. Alex is going to do some demos on that. Available in all regions. Yes, it will be in the next couple of weeks. This is not limited to any specific region. And the cool thing here is the approvals come with the Teams notification, but if you wanted to do, say, just a very simple email, you could key off that assigned to, or the approval status column, and then kind of go and get that simple email. Or if you want a more custom logic, then you can go into Flow. All right, so into the new space. So quick steps are similar to rules, but you can think of these as kind of a manual trigger rule. If you're familiar with the flow space, that is a, for a selected item or for a selected file, we're bringing that right into the SharePoint list or library with an initial set of actions that you can go in and predefine, the ability to use kind of the schema of the list and put a custom action in there, just like you would with a custom formatter, but not having to do custom JSON. So pretty cool way to say, send an email to a people column or start a chat with the people column, set multiple values, send an approval request, just one click of a button, or kind of a favorite one here is execute a flow, which does not have to be in the default environment, which we know a lot of folks have been asking for. Here's what that looks like in terms of the builder. Similar to rules, you go in and set kind of the fields that you want to take action on. You give your quick step a name, and then we have some conditions coming soon for the ability to say, only show this if certain values are met, kind of tuning actions to what you want. And then you can see here, and at this example, I went and selected 3 files. In the automate dropdown, I have my Marc invoice date quick step, which matches the name that I have over here. So I can go in, this quick step in this example would say the invoice date column, which you can see here, set that to today. So I don't have to go through each one to the date picker and kind of select, just do that automatically. Handy way to start to fill out your metadata, kick off some custom processes that will continue to kind of add more capabilities and ways you can expose these quick steps. Really quick roadmap highlight before the demos. Like I said, approvals available just about today. If you don't see it, very, very soon. A new trigger enhancements around the conditions of rules. And you're going to see more around the quick steps rolling out in about the next month. Bringing things like staged and sequential approvals is a very common ask we get. We're also going to wire up the SharePoint connector, which I'll save that one. Alex is going to show how that'll work, and some more rules capabilities. Lots more to come in this space across both SharePoint and Teams, thinking about how we bring more and more capabilities kind of right in line to your lists, doclib, sites, pages, making flow integration a lot easier. With that, let's jump into the fun part. Alex, you ready to take over for the demo?
Yep. Can you hear me?
Yep, gotcha.
Okay, awesome. Just was responding to the chat. Send this out. Okay, awesome. Let me share first. Okay, cool. So let's do some. So yeah, welcome. My name is Alexander. I'm the engineering manager for the business applications and that team. All the features that Nate shared. Basically, my team owns the integration with Power Platform, SharePoint connector, SharePoint rules, quick steps now, approvals, and all of that. Just FYI, before we end the meeting, I will be at the M365 conference. So if you want to geek out on SharePoint automation or customization, I will be in the booth most of the time, and I might join Ashu for one of the sessions that I will share later in the chat. But yeah, let's go here. So today I'm going to do the live demo of lightweight approvals and some other features that we're shipping. So here I have just a blank document library in SharePoint. I pre-uploaded some of the files just so that it's faster, but essentially it's just a blank library. There is no features available here yet. So the approvals that we're shipping for the document libraries are very easy to enable. You just go to the automate, configure approvals, click the toggle apply, and after that is done, it adds one of the columns that always visible. It is the approval status, and it's a very simple feature. Just adds the simple approval functionality to your document library. You can select a file, click on the pill, and start the approval request to any person you want. So, for example, I will send one to Nate right now. Once that approval is submitted, you will get a notification in Teams. The Teams notifications are enabled by default. And I don't have the Teams here, but basically I can show you that the request is visible in Teams. This is might take some time for it to show up. Anyway, we'll see it a bit later, I guess, after it syncs. But You don't have to use the teams. Basically, all you can do is available in SharePoint. So, oh, that's why I didn't see, because I sent it to Nate, not myself. But essentially, in the Nate, we'll see the UI. It's like, for example, I can do send it to myself. And you can see that I can provide the details. I can provide the name. We pre-fill it with the file name, but if you want to put something else, that is also available. The new feature that we are adding to this approvals functionality is the multi-stage. So if I want to send approval to Nate, and then I want to also make sure that the big boss approves, I can send it to Vesa. I don't know if I can change it. Hey, here's Vesa. And essentially, how it functions, it's similar to the approvals app in Teams. Nate will have to first approve that request, and if he approves, that will go to Vesa to approve for the final approval. Only then the status will change to approved. Let's see if Nate approved. But yeah, these requests are available in Teams in the sent, and yeah, these are the ones. Oh, okay,
just approved.
One's already approved. Yeah, awesome. So that bill will be updated. So this is a very lightweight functionality, and it's available for users to use. But if you want to add some more customization to this approval functionality, what we actually do is there's a bunch of columns that we add approvers, responses, and approval creator that essentially they cache some of the information that is available for the approval request. So for example, when I sent the approval request to Nate, he is available in the approvers column. Because I created the approval request, I'm available in the approval creator column. And what I'm going to do today is I'm going to do some simple automation with Power Automate and this feature. So for example, if you're not happy with the default set of the features that we ship with this kind of lightweight feature for now, you can build your own customizations. So let me move the bar. I will go to Power Automate and essentially create a new flow. I'll start with automated. I'll create the SharePoint trigger. Because I want to track the changes and modifications to the document library that I have, I'm going to take this trigger and find my site, find the document library. No, that's the wrong one. And then I will do the switch statement. So essentially, when you have a trigger on the SharePoint document library and you have approvals enabled on that document library, we have the synthetic column called approval status. And approval status is a complex column. You can either see the label, which is the human readable, or the value, which is just an integer, which is very easy for the conditions and comparison. I will do the label just for the demo purposes today, but keep in mind that it is localized and it might be sometimes it might be easier to change to check the value, the integer value, not essentially what I want to do is say if the approval status label is approved, I want to send an Outlook email. Oops, sorry, that one is not available for us. And I want to say, so if I switch, basically we have those same people column available in the triggers. So if if it's approved, I essentially want to send the email to the approval creator so that they know that their request is approved. And I can use some values from the trigger. So for example, we have the file name with extension. So for example, you can see which document was approved and put some body. The different case, so I have the same for rejected. I will not copy it, but the interesting one is the requested. So essentially when the approval request is created, you want to notify the approvers that they got a new request. So we'll do that. And here I will choose a different column. So basically, we have the approvers, and it's a multi-value column because essentially you can have multiple approvers on the same request. So it automatically adds the for each loop, and you can have add some links to the document, so it's easier to open the document. Link to item. Okay, and I can save that. Oops. So that flow, what it will do every time the status of the document change, the approval status of the document change, because that status only changes when the approval operation is done on the file, not when regular changes happen. So when regular changes happen, actually the status will get reset to the not submitted. So this flow will only trigger when there is an approval request operation. So if I create a request, the email will send out. In order, I don't want to go too long on the demo. Here's the sample email that I built from the flow yesterday. This is the email when request is created, so I can open the document. Here we open it in the view mode, so there is no accidental edits on the reviewed documents, and you can review that. And when request is approved, we get a separate email when it is approved. And obviously, because this is just a demo, and what is available, you can add other actions that you can have once the request goes through the approval state and all of that. If the Power Automate is a bit too complicated, we also have the rules capabilities enabled. So you won't be able to customize the notifications, but it is possible for you to have the rule where it says that let me see. Okay. I will not demo that here today. So basically, you can create a rule that triggers on the approval status change and send a notification to the particular columns, either to the approval creator or to the approver. So the similar functionality can be built with SharePoint rules in a very simple manner. It won't be as customizable as Power Automate, but it is a way to add the email notifications as well. And then very soon, we're going to ship a new action in the Power Automate SharePoint connector where you can create an approval request for an item of the file as a separate operation on the connector. And you can, I only have the screenshot here because we are not shipping it just yet. We're doing some final validations, but you can see that we are going to support both the default approval and the multi-stage approval, and you will be able to define the approvers, whether you require a response from all approvers, and so on. Then I'll switch to the quick steps feature. So just to demo some quick scenarios. So we have this new feature called quick steps that Nate presented in the slides. Because I have approval requests enabled on this library, I can create a quick step that essentially sends the request to the same person, or to the predefined. The quick steps is a way to create quick actions with the predefined parameters. So for example, I send the documents for review to Nate very often. I can create a quick step to send to Nate for review. And what I can do is, because I pre-filled all the values, I actually don't want to have the confirmation dialog. And so once that is created, the new command for the selected files is available in the Automate menu in the command bar or on the right click here. And because I pre-filled all the parameters and I don't have the confirmation dialog, I can essentially do the multi-select, right-click, automate, and say Nate to the review, and it will essentially create 3 approval requests to Nate and send all of them together for the the quick review of multiple documents from Nate. That's the so you saw some of the actions that we support and the quick steps for now. I hope that more is coming. My favorite action from the quick step is executing the flow. And you might be familiar with the manual flows that are available on the libraries and lists. So essentially, if you create a flow with a selected item or selected file trigger, they show up in the automate menu as well. Here with the quick step, the new type of the quick step, the execute a flow for document library, essentially what I can do is I can execute any flow, not just for a selected item, but I, for example, have the flow here, just a manual flow with the button trigger. It doesn't take any of the item metadata. What I can do is I can get the flow identifier, and as Nate mentioned, that flow can be in any environment. It doesn't have to be in the default environment. I have it in my personal environment. And then I go to the quick step and say, send port. That's just a flow we use for my team. Put the ID here. And essentially now I can go to automate as well. I don't have any items selected, and I can execute the flow, run the flow right from the SharePoint library. So I don't have to go to the Power Automate portal. If I have some flows that I run like very commonly, I can have some inputs and I can define them here and run, and then I can just do all my work from SharePoint. I think that's it, Nate. Do you want me to show something else?
No, I think that was great, Alex, and Vesa will let you either wrap or close us off.
Cool. I think we're all good. So thank you for both Nate and Alexander on that one. Really, really cool. Awesome demos. Thank you, Alexander, on doing ad hoc demos on, well, not ad hoc demos. You were doing, obviously, planning on what you were showing there for sure.
It was live.
But really, really cool stuff on both, and a lot of good excitement in the chat as well. So it's awesome stuff from both of you. So thank you for that. Cool. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Yogesh. Thank you, Bob. Thank you, Nate and Alexander on doing this. We went a bit long today, and that might happen when we have super exciting things. But we always try to avoid that as much as possible. But hey, life happens, and then we adjust. Now, next week, we do have 3 different demos scheduled again. So we'll start with Kana on next-gen data management for Power Platform, Fabric, and Copilot. Aisha is going to talk about enhancing custom engine agent with Azure AI and Teams AI Library. Really, really cool as well. So what is the purpose and what you use and where. And then April and David Warner is going to talk about using Power Platform snippets. And this is one of the open source community initiatives for helping you to actually get started on using Power Platform as well. So more details on all of this stuff on next Tuesday, 8th of April. In the meanwhile, please do take advantage of all of our other community calls and assets and everything else. And if you are in Discord, this is also a great option to get engaged with the community. So we do have our official Discord server with more than 2,700 members already on that one, and the number is growing, which is really, really cool. Please always provide us feedback. We always want to improve and get things better. So if you have a few minutes, please fill in the form, and we will read all of those feedback which are coming in. But for now, recording will be available within 24 hours at Microsoft Community Learning YouTube channel, at AKMS Community YouTube, and we'll obviously share that in the socials when it's available. Next call is on April 8th, and that's it for now. Thank you, everybody, for joining. Really, really awesome call today, and thank you for lovely engagement also in the chat from all of the attendees. But cheers, everybody. Bye-bye.